Here's an example of how we would use a half angle formula to find trigonometric function values. So in this problem, it says to find the exact value of the following trig function, tangent of theta over 2. And we're given a triangle for theta. Okay, so those are two different angles. Theta is here, theta over 2. It's almost like this is 50 degrees and they're asking us about tangent of 25 degrees. But using the appropriate formula, we can actually find that. So there are three formulas for tangent of theta over 2. And, besides matter of preference, you might choose the formulas based on the information that you're given. But you could use any one of these three formulas, and I'll show you how to do two of them, and we'll talk about, I'll show you that they'll give you the same answer. As far as the plus or minus on this first formula, it's not both of those things. It's going to be the one based on the quadrant in which theta lies, or really theta over 2 lies. So for now, we're dealing with an acute angle for theta. We know this because we're looking at a right triangle. And if I take half of theta, that's also acute. So I already know that my final answer for this is going to be positive. It wouldn't be negative. However, if somehow we knew that this thing was in, let's say, quadrant 4, then, it's possible that we would have a negative value. So you just have to kind of consider the information that's given about theta as to whether or not this would be positive or negative. But anyway, we'll use this formula, the first one that's listed first. And it only requires that we know cosine of theta. And we have the triangle. So from here, we can say cosine theta is adjacent over hypotenuse. So we get 24 over 25. I'm going to plug those values in, or that value into the formula. And so we get tangent of theta over 2 is going to be equal to positive square root of 1 minus 24 over 25 all over 1 plus 24 over 25. All right, now this gives us a complex fraction. And if you'll remember from algebra, the way to clear a complex fraction is to multiply the numerator and denominator by the least common denominator of all fractions. Of course, the only denominator we have is 25. So I'll multiply top and bottom by 25. When I do that, that 25 is distributed to each term. So we get 1 times 25 minus 24 over 25 times 25. And in the bottom, we have 1 times 25 plus 24 over 25 times 25. And what you'll notice is that the 25 here and the 1 in the denominator, they're going to cancel out, right? And so we won't have a fraction in our numerator anymore. Same thing in the denominator. We won't have a fraction there. All right, so I've actually distributed the 25 to each of these terms. And when I simplify, we get 25 minus 24 up top and 25 plus 24 on the bottom. And so this becomes the square root of 1 over 49. That radical can be distributed to the numerator and denominator. So we have the square root of 1 over the square root of 49, and our final answer is 1/7. Now let's do it again using the second formula. And this time we need to know something about cosine theta, which we already know that, and sine theta, which we know that as well. Okay, sine theta is going to be the opposite over hypotenuse, so 7 over 25. All right, we'll plug those values in, and we still get a complex fraction. We just don't have the radical this time. And so I'm going to use the same technique to clear the complex fraction. That is to multiply the top and the bottom by the least common denominator of my fraction. In this case, or of all the fractions rather. In this case, there is only one denominator, 25. So I multiply the top and the bottom by 25. And 25 times 1 gives me 25. 25 times 24 over 25 gives me 24. 7 over 25 times 25 gives me just 7, because the 25s are going to cancel. You can think of this 25 as 25 over 1, right? And so we have a 25 in our numerator that cancels with the 25 in our denominator. And so when we're done simplifying, again, the answer is 1/7.